Hello and welcome to The World Beat. I'm Frankie Vernowski, and first you're probably sitting and staring at this screen confused and perplexed, or plex-fused even. Well, here's the thing. The World Beat is a show based around the news, much like the show once hosted by the man Jon Stewart. But consider us differently, if not younger than him, much more like a store-brand Cheerios of satirical news. And, in some cases, look at us like the store-brand Count Chocula, but remain plex-fused. We begin today with the issue of national security, an issue in the forefront as well as the backside of many Americans.
The homegrown violent extremist is the biggest danger we face. It is the likeliest way ISIS or Al-Qaeda will attack our country.
It is delusional for President Obama and Hillary Clinton and anyone else to say that climate change is our near-term most severe security threat.
The greatest threat to our national security is our debt.
In the event that you approach an assailant, here's what I want you to do. You're going to pull up, left hip forward, placing your right hand on your away hip thusly, giving the illusion that you have a gun, which of course we both know you don't.
At this point, it's hard to tell who is and isn't a presidential candidate. And it's just as hard to tell why there's a Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. Terrible. Now, the security of our nation is of the utmost importance, as stated by the 44-year-old Boy Scout, Senator Ted Cruz.
Of these terrorist attacks, President Obama's Iranian nuclear deal looks worse and worse and worse. The idea that the United States of America would be sending over $100 billion to the Ayatollah Khamenei, to the leading financier of terrorism in the world, is profoundly foolhardy.
You know, is it just me, or is Ted Cruz isolated to a barren island in the Senate? The only thing he's missing in the Cruz corner is his best friend, Wilson. Now, from that, Congress was attempting to pass the Restoring Americans Health Reconciliation Act of 2015, which the Senate debated in December. The bill aims to defund the women's health clinic built on the side of Mount Doom, Planned Parenthood, but then after an attack in San Bernardino, Senator Dianne Feinstein said this.
I rise to speak on an amendment which is identical to a bill I've introduced with Republican Congressman Peter King. It would allow the Attorney General to prevent a person from buying a gun or explosive if, 1, the recipient is a known or suspected terrorist, and 2, the Attorney General has a reasonable belief that the recipient would use the firearm in connection with the terrorist act.
Now, Republicans didn't take too strongly to the amendment, as well-known Majority Whip John Cornyn of Texas made a crack, as whips often will.
Mr. President, if you believe that the federal government should be able to deprive an American citizen of one of their core constitutional rights without notice and an opportunity to be heard, then you should vote for the senator's amendment. I used the example of Teddy Kennedy, Catherine Stevens, and others who were placed on these lists. At very least, we ought to provide these individuals an opportunity for notice and a right to be heard in an impartial judicial tribunal to make those decisions.
Yeah! What if a good man like TV's late, great Mr. Rogers was put on the terror watch list? Wait, but what if Mr. Rogers was a criminal mastermind? What if he was Scarface? Say hello to my little friend, neighbor. But that's besides the point. What confuses me is that we're supposed to be fighting the terrorists, and the way we're doing that is by letting terrorists have guns? I feel that the representatives against this amendment are the same people being operated by the conservative ghost of liberal puppeteer Jim Henson. But in this case, the ghost of Jim Henson haunting Congress is disguised as the National Rifle Association, which, during the 2014 election cycle, spent nearly $28 million in lobbying and campaigning, twice of what they spent on catering that same year. Now, they may not seem like a motivator in voting down this amendment, as it was struck down from voting for other reasons.
The pending amendment number 2910, offered by Senator Feinstein, contains matter that is not within the jurisdiction of the Finance Committee or the Help Committee and is extraneous to H.R. 3762, a reconciliation bill. Therefore, I raise a point of order against the measure pursuant to Section 313B(1)(c) of the Congressional Budget Act of 1974.
Ah, man, I needed B38. Say what you will, but bingo's a rigged game. Yet it's coincidental that the vice president of the NRA, Wayne LaPierre, who's also an amateur Stephen King impersonator, shares a similar stance on this situation.
The same thing during the campaign when he said to people, "I will not take away your rifle, shotgun, handgun." They leafleted the country with flyers like this: "Obama's not going to take your gun. Obama will protect gun rights."
He's not taking away shotguns.
Have you looked at the Feinstein bill that he's supporting? I mean, that's exactly what it does.
Now, the bill to which LaPierre is referring to is the Denying Firearms and Explosives to Dangerous Terrorists Act of 2011, a bill with bipartisan support as well as backers from both political parties. It was drafted by Republican Representative Peter King of New York, and it would give the Attorney General the authority to revoke licenses to own firearms from suspected terrorists. Of course, the bill never made it to a vote and is still being stalled in Congress. 5 years later. But what's frightening about the NRA is its ability to manipulate words into fear, thoughts into fright, and dollars into donuts. It's ironic that an organization that's likely overwhelmingly against terrorism is implementing the bill as a strategy to forward their own political agenda and the desires of the late great actor John Wayne, Pilgrims. But the actual bill only includes people on the terror watch list and requires appropriate evidence for the Attorney General to take action. For instance, here's an NRA video from late October.
Nothing illustrates America's breakdown like the way the president's hometown celebrates its holidays. Memorial Day, 12 dead, 56 wounded.
Yeah, Memorial Day in Chicago. You fire up the grill, invite your families, watch your friends die. What a celebration. Really? That's how Obama celebrates holidays? Isn't that a little ridiculous? Oh, but I'm sorry, NRA. Please continue to convince me.
Under the existing federal gun laws, he could take every felon with a gun, drug dealer with a gun, and criminal gangbanger with a gun off the streets tomorrow and lock them up for 5 years or more. But he won't do it.
I think it's important to note that President Obama cannot personally jail every single criminal. He's not RoboCop. But sorry, NRA, please continue.
President Obama and Hillary Clinton and other politicians use the carnage to campaign for more gun laws. They won't and don't enforce. And the good, honest Americans living out in farm towns, in Nebraska or Oklahoma, people who keep their heads down, raise their kids, and just try to do the right thing, they see through it all.
Oh my God, he's right about everything. Nobody's safe. Everyone's at risk. Obama will become the repo man of gun confiscation, and he will knock on every door and take away every gun, and then he'll take my kids and my Mad magazines. Oh, no. Oh, I need to calm down. Okay, my Lord LaPierre, tell me how we end violence.
If you want to stop violence in this country, here's what you do, okay? First, if you want to protect our kids, you put armed security in schools. I'm not talking about arming teachers. I'm talking about police officers, and I'm talking about certified professional security people.
Yes, we're going to have more guns? But that's it. That's why the NRA doesn't want to close the terror loophole. It means less people with guns. Let's see who they contribute funds to. John Cornyn of Texas. But there's got to be a reason why they want more people to have guns. Maybe it's because the gun industry supports them fiscally for being the guinea pig in the event of PR crises for the gun industry. The New York Daily News have pegged LaPierre as a terrorist and claimed war against the NRA. But what does this mean for national security? Does this mean that the only way I can kill a gun is with 2 guns? No. That's what LaPierre wants me to think. What matters is the fact that the NRA supporting politicians, most of which have received contributions from the NRA at some point, are willing to jeopardize logical safety precautions for political benefit, using the Second Amendment to shoot off their mouths, so to speak. They're right. There is an issue of government incompetence in this situation, and it's the fact that it doesn't pass. For God's sake, the Zadroga Act, which would extend health benefits for 9/11 responders permanently, took forever to pass. And since passing it would have been a no-brainer, you would have thought that the no-brains in Congress would have passed it immediately. but we might as well make another version of the children's book, Everybody Poops, and call it Everybody Has a Congressman. Overall, legislation that has the potential to increase the safety of American lives is being upheld by the National Rifle Association, held up without a gun, mind you. And it's hypocritical that the party which has a pro-life stance opts to potentially put American lives in danger. But that's all for now. Tune in next time to see where the world is beaten.
You just watched the pilot of The World Beat with Frankie Vernowski, a project I've wanted to launch for so long and finally had the chance to make it. Hi, I'm the floating voice named Ray, and I write, edit, and direct The World Beat. So, what do you think? Were you entertained? Did you learn something? Leave any comments or suggestions down below and we'll take all of them into consideration. For now, keep on beating.